Oh, hello. I've just had a wonderful dream, such a great dream. Eze didn't sign for Spurs. Arsenal came in the last minute and hijacked a deal to take Eze to Arsenal. Tell me, was it just a dream? Have I woken up and it actually has happened? Or has the wool been pulled all over our eyes by Daniel Levy again? Of course it has. Of course it has. This is PRTV Spurs. We are here to do the preview show. Manchester City versus Tottenham Hotspur at the Etihad Stadium tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Let's do it. Let's do the preview show. Can't smile without you. It's all about not smiling anymore, is it really? We can't smile. The smile has been wiped off the face of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club fans by a certain chairman who cannot get anything right. This weekend is the Premier League match day 2 for Tottenham Hotspur without another signing. Manchester City host Tottenham Hotspur at the Etihad Stadium, which is going to be a 12:30 p.m. kickoff. We don't like 12:30 p.m. kickoffs. Joining me to do a rundown of what's happened this week and preview the game is our very own Sam Spurs for Life. Mr. Sam Spurs for Life.
Yeah, so good. I get 2 introductions, Sam Spurs for Life and Sam Spurs for Life. That's how we do.
You know how it is.
You know how it goes.
What's been going on? It's been an absolutely wonderful week in the life of a Tottenham Hotspur fan. We've had meltdowns, we've had everything and everything. How are you feeling?
I was angry the last couple of days, obviously after the saga, and people are going to think, I'm not angry at the player. I'm not angry at Eze. If we are going to talk about Eze, and I'll try and be brief, I'm just angry at this whole saga that we've seen so many times. We get fed so many different stories. We get fed so many different lines. We have Daniel Levy and Vinay coming up. We say, we want to challenge for the league. And then they're haggling over £3 million to get probably one of the best players in the league currently on form, etc., etc. We could have gazumped Arsenal to a sense. We don't know all the story. They may have, been talking on the inside about things, and maybe Eze was stalling because he wanted Arsenal to. I don't know. And these things will probably come out, but do we believe him? I don't know. All I know is we didn't do enough to get that player, and we are 10 days away from the close of the transfer window. It's mental.
Do you know what? I sort of blame and don't blame Eze. I think from day one, I've been chatting to a Gooner friend who's a level-headed Gooner friend, right? A level-headed ones, not the ones that run around with giving you all this bullshit and all that crap, yeah? He's actually level-headed. And he said to me, first thing he said is, listen, mate, he's got rejected when he was at Arsenal years and years ago. Then he went to whoever, then he went to QPR or whatever, then he went to Palace. And he said he's always said that Henry was his favourite player and he always wanted to play for Arsenal, blah, 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 blah. And he's going to go to Arsenal and that's his dream. So he said it's obvious that he was going to pick Arsenal ahead of Tottenham. I said, in this current age, anything's possible. Everybody will pick Arsenal or any other club ahead of Spurs with Daniel Levy in charge. I said, that's fine. But don't then agree to sign for a club that you don't want to play for. Don't agree personal terms, right? And then at the last minute, whatever's been going on, I still think they stalled it. The chairman, Parish, stalled it. And behind the scenes, while it was agreed with Spurs, I think they were still pushing at Arsenal at all costs. And unfortunate injury to Havertz has caused Arsenal to then go in there because they had no plans of getting him. They went and bought Madueke. They went and bought the other players. So they had no intentions. However, something's happened, which will, like you said, we'll find out eventually. But I think deep down, he wanted to go Arsenal at all costs. What peed me off is the fact that if that's the case, then why are you agreeing terms with Spurs? Why are you agreeing everything and all that?
One thing I would say about that is we had Champions League football. I don't think if we didn't have Champions League football, I don't even think it'd have entertained. We wouldn't have even got this far. And again, I'll go by reports. But we had Champions League football. He wanted to play Champions League football. Obviously, to go to Spurs' main to go from to Arsenal's main rivals being Spurs and being an Arsenal fan, he really didn't want to do that. But players, someone said it, put it quite rightly, players, they're fans of money. So if you pay him right and he's got Champions League football, yeah, you're going to get a player.
100%. And what's interesting as well, what you just said, Sam, is it'd be interesting to find out if we're ever going to find out what we offered and what they've offered. Because I tell you now, for a fact, personal terms agreed. What does that mean? Does that mean that he's taken more money at Arsenal than he has Spurs? Or has he sacrificed the wages because he wants to go and play for Arsenal and prove them wrong, that they were wrong to get rid of him in the first place? For me, it is what it is. Fair play to him. Yeah. I'm not going to, when it comes to the stadium, I'm not going to, slander him and whatever. It is what it is. Yeah. He's gone to a club where they're going to finish second, right? So
it hurts because it's Arsenal. It does. And I'm not going to lie. It hurts because it's Arsenal. And they're having a right laugh, because we was having a right laugh at them for not being able to win the trophy. And we've won one in June. So in May, sorry. So they're in their rights now to have a laugh. But what they celebrate, there's nothing to celebrate. They got a player who's probably going to come to them anyway. Exactly. If they had the choice between the two of us. But it's the way it's carried on, because it took us a week to get to that point. It took them half a day to get the deal done.
2 hours. But if you read what you say, they had a deal in place since the 10th of August and everything was in place. So I just think that the Spurs thing was just, it says it all, where when we agreed he's still going to play for them last night, right? So we're not going to sell him to you until he's played there. The moment they came in 2 hours later, they've got the deal done and he's not playing for them. How does that, how? Anyway, first win of the season last week. It was a 3-0 victory, convincing, maybe not, I don't know. But at home against a team that's just been promoted, we do expect to get the 3-0 win, or at least a win and 3 points in the bag. Now, after all the shit that's gone on during the week, all the shenanigans and the disappointments, we move to tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. against Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. How's the mood going to be now? Because obviously, I don't know if you saw the press conference today.
Not yet.
Yeah, one thing that sticks out is the fact that Thomas Frank has said that at the end of the day, he was given the they asked him about Eze, didn't they? And they've asked Arteta about Eze, and Eze just smiled. He just smiled, didn't he? Arteta, like he does. But given the circumstances of what happened, Thomas Frank turned around and said, I don't want players that don't want to play for my club and are not going to be proud to wear the shirt. Is that something he's just said because he's been told to say that? I think it is. I think it's deep down, he's probably thought, shit, I've been screwed over again. I've not got another player that I wanted. So I'm going to have to say something. So I'm going to say, I don't want anyone to play for the club that don't want to play.
I'm kind of leaning. We've just talked about it. We said that if Eze was given a choice between Arsenal and Spurs, he's going to choose Arsenal. If your stuff that you're saying is like they had an agreement since the 10th of August, this is why I'm getting even angry. There's no way that someone within football, within Spurs, wouldn't have known that Arsenal is still sniffing around. Do you know what I'm saying? Even with the discussions, I'm pretty sure that Steve Parish wouldn't have said, you know what, you're the only ones here. I don't know. To me, all the stories don't make any sense. I don't even think we got to the stage where we even I don't believe we put anything in. I really don't. I know they said 55 plus 5. I don't think there was no verbal agreement. I don't trust anything that I read because there's too many conflicting stories going on to kind of, hold on a minute. So if there's agreed personal terms with us, surely all that means is we just got to get a deal done with the club. Hold on a minute. Why did we gone from 55 plus 5 to now we need another, whatever it was? Because all these stories kept coming out. I've heard that Arsenal have paid 68 million plus add-ons. So they've basically played the release clause. So what was the release clause all about? The 68 million, if people are paying more than that, why did they not want to pay 68 million in the first place for a player that they said nothing makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying? If you start going through all the stories that we heard, nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's my disappointment. If we got to a stage where we had an opportunity to get the player, pay that money. We've had it once happen with Gibbs White, pay the money. If personal terms are agreed, great. Pay the club the money, and then let's move on. We could have had a really good talent in our squad right now.
Is it a good time to be playing Manchester City, second game of the season away?
I'd rather play them now, but then saying that, I did see what their debutant Reijnders did, and it is scary. If someone can just come into the Premier League, they don't even. It looks like he's just going to take over from where De Bruyne left off and say, "Hold on, I'm actually better than that." He looked very, very good, Sid. I'm not going to lie to you. And if they've got Rodri coming back and they've got Foden coming back, they've got a hell of a team. They've got a hell of a squad, and I think it's probably better that we play them as early as possible. First home game, they're going to be up for it, but I think we'll have that defensive capability, because it's going to have to be a defensive performance, in my opinion. We ain't got enough attack, in my opinion, to go at them toe to toe, but we can get a result. I think we can get a result.
Yeah, City won 4-0 last week away at Wolves. And don't know how good Wolves were, but City, like you said, Reijnders, Shirky, and them, they were on form. First home game of the season for them. Their fans are going to get to see the new players that have come into City.
Mm-hmm.
They'll want to put on a show, and they'll want to win 3 points. And obviously, we'll talk about the team news and other bits as we move on, because there's a couple of major factors for me that could determine the game tomorrow. But in terms of history between the two clubs, then, Sam, here we go. And here we go. So, head-to-head we've got with Manchester City. It has been 56 meetings between Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester City. Spurs have won 29, Sam. Manchester City have won 19. City have won 11 at home. Spurs have won 12 away. Spurs have won 17 at home. And City have won 8 games away with 8 draws. It's a good record against Man City. And I think we've discussed this before. City have only done well in the recent years since they've had the takeover and the millions and billions that they've got from, obviously, foreign Saudi money. Prior to that, we've got a good record. So this is not a bad record, is it?
We've got a pretty decent record, even with Pep in charge, if I'm honest with you. I don't know what it is exactly, but I know that Pep did think of us as a bit of a bogey team in a sense. And that's with loads of different managers, if I'm honest with you. So
yeah,
it does kind of lead you to believe that this game should be, even if the players think themselves, all right, well, it's Man City. You know, the reverse works. Whenever we play Chelsea, I'm always thinking, oh, God, we're going to lose this. Arsenal is like, oh, are we going to get a result away from home? But away from home in this sense, I'm actually thinking, yeah, we could get something, because I've seen how they performed against PSG. And this, I'm talking about a Thomas Frank team here. And I'm just going by the history of Spurs versus Manchester City in general. They don't like playing us, if I'm honest. So I think we're going to have an opportunity.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good record against them, aren't we? In terms of then, so that's obviously 12 away wins at the Etihad and Main Road. I don't know how far it goes back, but that's pretty good, pretty decent. 8 draws, but we don't really get that many draws, do we? This is the previous 5 meetings then, Sam. This is just home and away, yeah? 26th of Feb 2025, Spurs 0, Manchester City 1. 23rd of November 24, Manchester City 0, Tottenham 4. 14th of May 2024, Tottenham 0, Manchester City 2. 3rd of December 2023, Manchester City 3, Tottenham 3, that crazy game. And then February 2023, Spurs 1, Manchester City 0. So we've won 1, 2. We've won 2, we've lost 2, and we've drawn 1 in the last 5 games against Manchester City.
Yep. And that game on the 14th of May 2024 was the game that we had to lose. And that was, Ange didn't like that. Ange didn't like that.
The notorious Son. The notorious SON. Forget the
Yeah.
BIG, the notorious
Oh my
SON.
goodness, that was Son. He actually blessed us that day. So Son,
Yeah.
again, thank you for everything you've done for us. We haven't had a chance to say that. Thank you for everything. It was time you moved on. I'm not going to lie to you. You needed to move on. But for what you did on the 14th of May, 2024, we'll always remember you.
But was it a good save or was it a miss? We will never know.
He missed it, man. He did.
Exactly.
He missed it.
So 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. And then it's going to move on to the next slide in a second. So, it seems to be like honours evens, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, and a draw. This is the last 5 games at the Etihad Stadium. So 2021, Manchester City 3, Spurs 0. 2022, Manchester City 2, Tottenham 3. January 2023, Spurs lost 4-2 to Man City when we was 2-0 up, and then City just come and done us. 2023, Manchester City 3, Tottenham 3. And last but not least, the last game, 23rd of November 2024, Tottenham 4, Manchester City 0. So we've got 2 wins again, 1 draw, and 2 losses away from home.
And we lost in the last 2. So the last 2 games at Man City's ground, we've not 4 past them and not 3 past them. So you can look at that as saying, well, we've got goals in us to go to them and do that. Do we have that necessarily to go to them tomorrow with? I still say we can do a counter-attacking job on them. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as the previous games that we've seen on that list there. Well, certainly not from our perspective, I don't think. Unless Manchester City really get it going and they really put us to the sword, I can see them scoring a lot of goals. But as I said, if we play like how I think we're going to play, I think it's going to be a tight game. I won't go for my scoreline yet because I know we're going to do that in a little bit.
We are going to do that in a little bit. So I'm just looking at something. But so we've got, like you said, we do score goals. We do score goals, yeah. However, if you look at the goal scorers in our last games, Maddison's injured, Son's left, Lo Celso's disappeared, Kulusevski's injured, Royals
Kane's gone.
Kane's gone. So we've only got 2 goal scorers in the last 4, 7, 9, 12 goals we've scored. Only 2 players remain that actually could potentially play in Porro and Johnson.
So we can look at it in a couple of different ways. We can look at it and say, well, we ain't really got anybody that's historically going to score for us apart from Johnson and Porro, as you mentioned. We've not got Harry Kane anymore. Or we could look at it from a perspective of, well, there's players now that are playing themselves into a bit more of a form. They are improving. Sarr definitely is improved, probably the best player in pre-season. Had a very good first game as well. The midfield in general had a very first league game, if I'm honest with you. The performance against PSG, to get those goals, I know it was set pieces. So we've got different ways of scoring. We don't necessarily have to be open play goals. We can have set piece goals as well. But I think the likes of Richarlison, them 2 goals that he scored should give him some real confidence. We said last season or the season before, whenever it was with Richarlison, we give him the first 5 games. Well, he's got a brace in his first game. I'm expecting him to now really have a bit of confidence going into this second game. Let's see if you can do it against the likes of Manchester City. It's all right doing it against Burnley at home. Away from home, we want to see you get a goal. We want to see you get into that attacking third and put some threat into the back line. Because if there's one thing I can say about Manchester City, they will allow you opportunities if you can get the ball off them. If you can counter-attack, there will be spaces available because they play in such a way. So I'm hoping that somebody else will come along and score the goals. Maybe Kudus might pop up with one. Maybe we might get a Romero. I'm the captain now. So, you know what I mean? All that sort of stuff. I'm hoping we're going to win.
So we're going to Manchester City Etihad, right? We're going to Etihad on I mean, this week's training and formations and tactics and whatever. Do you believe that Eze would have been in the thoughts of Thomas Frank, or has he ruled that one out and just gone with what he's got? because going to the Etihad, second game of the season, i.e. City's first game of the season, it's not going to be easy. Now, we discussed about Man City, so we'll quickly go into a little bit on Man City, right? They've obviously realised that they've potential, they need some players. Kevin De Bruyne has left, their main playmaker. They've lost Kyle Walker as well. It seems like Edison is no longer going to be his number one, and there seems to be some issues with there. Ortega now is looking at leaving as well. So potentially they could lose Ortega, they could lose Edison, because they've spent 31 million euros on James Trafford, a keeper they got rid of for nothing, I think, to Burnley, and now they spent 31 million pounds. They've then gone and got Ryan Al-Nouri from Wolverhampton Wanderers for 36 million euros, and then they've got Ryan Cherki from Olympic Lyon for 36 million euros, and 55 million from Tihani Reijnders from AC Milan. Right now, once Reijnders is 26, Al-Nouri is 24, Cherki is 21, and Trafford is 22. Cherki was one of the players that we were linked with a couple of seasons ago, but for whatever reason, Daniel Levy, we didn't end up getting him. They've just brought in 4 players, quality players. They've got a 21-year-old goalkeeper who potentially is going to be England's number one, right? So that's them covered for the keeper. They brought in a recognised left back, and we saw how good Al-Nouri was at Wolverhampton Wanderers. And City saw that, and they've got him because they were sort of struggling. But for me, if you've got one of the best number 6s in the world who's got a little bit of an injury problem, then you go and buy Reijnders for 55 million. And then to add a little bit of sauce on the side, you go and get Cherki, who's, we've seen what's happened with him. They've done some mad business, haven't they? Four players.
Crazy business. I think Reijnders will probably be more of an 8 as opposed to a 6. So I think Rodri slots right back into that team. It's just then who's going to play alongside him and Reijnders, in my opinion, because I think them two will be in that central area. They've got an embarrassment of riches, haven't they? Play Cherki there. You know, you could possibly even play Foden in that if you're playing 2 10s, if that's how they're going to play. Or potentially an 8 and a 10. There's so many different options they've got. They've got the wide men as well. Also, they've still got the likes of what's his name, Bernardo Silva. They've still got the experience of that sort of player in there. They've obviously got a Haaland up front who can tuck the ball away for fun. I love the fullbacks that they've got. I think the business they did at fullback. Aït-Nouri, I liked him at Wolves. I saw him play a few games there, and I thought that's a player. And as soon as I said that, I think that it was being linked to Manchester City. So I don't even think Spurs was even in the hunt for that type of player. But that's the type of player that I would have definitely taken at Spurs. It's going to be a tough ask tomorrow. I know that, but if you are going to try to get a team who, again, they're going to be gelling still as well. They look like they gelled really well last week, but they are. Does Pep know his best team at the moment when he has to try and fit in Rodri's, when he's got to try and fit in Foden's, when he's got to try and fit in all these players into that team? Does he know who's going to fit in? Does he know who's going to play well together? I think Thomas Frank's probably got a little bit more of an idea because we've got such limited numbers at the moment. So I think he's got probably a bit more of an idea what he's going to do tomorrow. We're likely to have 3 at the back. It's going to be a 3-5-2. It's probably going to be a very similar
Hold that fort, lads. Hold that fort. Hold that fort. Hold that fort. Yeah. Last week's Man City lineup was Trafford in goal with Lewis, Stones, Diaz, and Al-Nouri as the 4. 3 in front were Gonzalez, Reijnders, Bernardo Silva, with Doku, Haaland, and Oscar Bob as the front 3. Now, the good news for Man City fans and the bad news for Tottenham Hotspur fans is Rodri and Phil Foden are back in recognition for tomorrow's game. Their bench last week was Ake, Mamouche, Cherki, Gundogan, Akanji, Nunes, Nico O'Reilly, and Kusanov. Throwing to the occasion Rodri and Phil Foden. There may be trouble ahead.
So I'm saying they've got much more options.
100%. And does Savinho play, or is he still injured, or is he still doing whatever he's doing? That's going to be an interesting one as well, isn't it? Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
There was that post though that Savinho put up last week to basically show he was in the gym or something, to say, well, he didn't say I'm not injured, boss, but kind of showed this picture as if to say, well, they're saying something and I'm actually here just in the gym. So yeah, I think look, I hate the way Spurs do their business currently. I don't like all the media stuff that goes on, because you can't believe anything until, as you say, they hold the shirt up. But there is a possibility that maybe they don't want him to play. They didn't want Savinho to play against them. So maybe, and this is one of the things that people say, maybe there is a potential, if we pay the money, that they would actually let Savinho go, because it appears that there is some sort of, there's something between the two in terms of, you know, him putting that thing up on Instagram or whatever it was, and Pep saying he's injured. Pep could have said, look, I just don't think his head's right because of the speculation, but he's saying, oh, he's injured. I'm not sure he is.
And I don't want to be paying over the odds for a player that really is going to be another left-sided player that we're just going to spend stupid money on, and who's not going to be as good as what everyone makes him out to be, whether he is or not. But I don't want us to pay over the odds. Now, City played Oscar Bob last week, apparently, on the right-hand side. But we've got a new signing tomorrow, apparently, that's going to play on the left for Spurs. He's called Two Bob. So, Oscar Bob versus Two Bobs tomorrow, right? Obviously, we've been told this week, we found out that Kulusevski is now going to be out until January. So,
I
that's
thought that anyway.
Yeah. So, that's our two playmakers done for the season. Thomas Frank wants 2 number 10s, but Daniel Levy's offered him a number 20 instead. So he said, I'll give you a number 20 instead of 2 10s. Is that all right? Yeah. So we are goosed.
You know what? That is the fucking truth. You're not even lying there.
I know.
Oh, he probably went and said, boss, Mr. Levy, I need 2 10s. He went, 10 and 10 is 20.
I give you a 20.
20.
Just for that. Yeah, we've just got to thingy the swearing, because apparently kids mode's on our stream, hence why we're not getting comments. So apparently that's what I've been told by our other guests, panel guests, i.e. Darius and Josh Spurs debate, that kids mode's on. That's why I think we're not getting the comments, and also we've got to watch our P's and Q's. But yeah, I'm telling you now, the number 20 shirt's ready, bro. I'm telling you, the number 20 shirt's ready. So in terms of that, obviously, and also what made me laugh yesterday and today was Spurs have offered Roma, Gil and Solomon, and Roma have said, guess what? Turn around, walk out that door, because they're not welcome anymore. We don't want them. No, we don't want them. See ya. Bye. We don't even want them for free. This is us. If that was Chelsea, they would have probably got 400 million for the pair of them. So it comes to that now where Sid's going to predict his 11. So this is my formation and my team for tomorrow, Sam. We will discuss it after. I'll put it up for you. I want your thoughts, and I want everybody's thoughts in the comment section as well on your possible lineup, possible 11 to face Manchester City. Do we go attacking? Do we go defensive? Or are we going to do what he used to do at Brentford and try and defend and then get Man City on the counter with whoever we've got that's going to try and run up top? So this is my team, Sam. Here we go. I've gone with Vicario in goal. Back Pedro Porro. I'm going with a back 5, Sam. I think Kevin Danso comes in with Cuti Romero in the middle, Van der Ven on the left, and Jed Spence will start on the left. I think you go with Polina as the 6, with Bentancur and Papassar as the 2 in front, with Mohamed Kudus and number 9, Richarlison as the lone striker. Sorry.
Go back to that.
What's your thoughts on that, Sam? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take that off while you digest it. I will put on an image file of it so you can have a good look at it. But this is what I think anyway. This is how it's going to go. I think it's going to go with back five with Palhinha, Bentancur and Sarr, and then Ricci and Kudus as the top two with the two wing backs.
I'm sure Thomas Frank said he plays with a lone six when he plays in the back three. Oh, no, sorry, I tell a lie. I think he plays when he plays a 4-3-3. He has a one number six and then he has two ahead. I think he's going to play that 3-5-2. You're right.
Yeah.
I think you probably are going to see, Kudus play just behind or just off Richarlison.
I couldn't get my pictures behind each other and stuff like that. But...
No, you're right. That's how it will be at times. Kudus might be the furthest man forward at times, but most of the time I think he'll be looking to pick the ball up and do what he does. Those wide players in terms of Jed Spence and Porro, 100%. We do need to have more of a left-footed player on that left, although Jed Spence has done well in that. I would like to see him get down that left-hand side a little bit more, but he's not likely to cross it in. He did a good, like last week I saw him do a couple of little tricks and stuff, so he can play there. The midfield three, I think you're right in that. Sarr's been one of the best players this season for us, although the season's only one game old, but pre-season I'm talking about. And I think Bentancur does come in. I think he's going to go with a little bit more experience than he did with that first game where you would have saw either Gray or Bergvall. So I think that's the team.
Yeah, I mean the reason I'm saying
one little second. I know you've got Danso on there.
Yeah.
I'm not overly keen on Danso personally, but I think he'll be the one. But I was going to say Vuskovic, but I've not seen him.
He has said, Frank, that I'm going to play the team. I'm going to put a team out against the team that I'm playing, not just the same team week in, week out. I will look at the opponents and then I will pick my team. Like he did against PSG, where nobody expected him to do the back five, and he went with a back five. I think Man City, for him to play a back five, makes sense because you don't want Van der Ven was doing some long stretches last weekend, and that was only against Burnley in a back four. You imagine against Man City and what they're gonna have throwing at us. His hammy's gonna go. So play three at the back.
Yeah, what a 3-5-2 gives you, and even how you can see it set up there. You've got a lot of central coverage. You've basically got 6 players in that central area, because you've got Romero who could step into that space if he needs to. You've got obviously the players ahead of him in terms of that, I hope, a tight midfield three of Sarr, Bentancur, Palhinha, and then you've obviously got the two up front, and that's very central as opposed to when you go 3-4-3, you've got less command in that midfield area. And I think we could get overrun in that area, particularly by a Man City team at home.
And the other thing I was going to ask you, Sam, Richarlison's mood, absolutely top draw last week, top finishes. He ran his socks off, didn't want to come off when he got substituted because I potentially wanted his hat trick. He probably thought, I ain't gonna get a better chance than today to get a hat trick. He was distraught when he came off. However, you've had a good week. You've scored 2 goals, good training session, and then all of a sudden, last minute, you're thrown into a deal. Apparently, now he was going to be included to go to Crystal Palace. How do you think he would be feeling? Like, hold on a second. How have I been thrown to the slaughter to go to Crystal Palace? I didn't want to go there. I've got a World Cup here.
I don't even think that was a story.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, how could they just 24 hours before they were trying to wrap a deal up, say to Richarlison, we want you to go to Crystal Palace? I would have just said, hold on a minute. No, I'm not there. So I don't think any of that was the case. And I've seen something on X to say that there was no part, and that's coming from, I think, David Ornstein, to say that there was no deal in place for Richarlison to go anywhere. Now, he wouldn't have gone anyway. So I don't think he's going to be feeling any way. It's just media stories. They're used to all this media stories that go hand in hand with Tottenham, hand in hand with being a professional footballer. So, just move on. And
the other question, does Solanke start ahead, or does Richarlison keep his place after last week?
Has to. Mm-hmm. You can't take him out of the team after a player scores the goal that he scored, the second goal. If you take him out, you may as well just say, don't bother. You're just going to be one of them players who were who might sometimes play. Now you've got to give him a good run. As I said, it's one thing scoring against Burnley and looking good. You've got to do this. You've got at least got to show that same sort of capabilities and determination against Manchester City.
Yeah. If you're already watching, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel PRTV Spurs, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, give us a follow, and also leave your comments, and we'll get back to you. Also, your predicted lineup, and also what we're going to move on to now in the final bit now is the score predictions for the game at the Etihad Stadium. Sam, so obviously looking at Spurs, have got a new manager, a couple of new players in, new system, new formation, 3-0 victory against Burnley. City added a few players to the experienced players that they've sold or got gone. And they've just come in firing in pre-season, and they've started off the season on fire. Haaland seems to have scored as well. City at home. What your prediction?
I did say the score would probably be low scoring earlier, but I've changed my mind slightly. I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
You're going for a 2-2 draw?
Yeah.
You see, for me, when Kane left, Man City nemesis. Son, Man City nemesis, left. Kulusevski, Man City nemesis, injured. Man City fans, when Son was leaving, Man City fans were upset, but they weren't upset. They were upset because they said that Son's gone. He's not going to trouble us anymore. We don't need to worry. However, the Son footballer is going to be a massive miss to Tottenham Hotspur and Premier League. And they said, out of all the other players, Son probably was their best player to watch apart from Man City players. So we've lost the goal scorers. We've lost the threats that cause Man City problems tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be very, very interesting. I'm hoping Kudus can come out and do something. However, if I'm right, previously 12:30 kickoffs are not very good for Spurs, and I personally think Man City are going to be too strong for us tomorrow. I honestly think City will be too strong. I know we've been there before when we've grounded out a result. We've beaten 4-0 when no one expected us to. Then we've got a 3-3. But City's first home game of the season tomorrow, I can't see us winning tomorrow. I think City will win either 2 or 3-1.
Do you know what would be a good idea? And I'm going to try and see if I can find it whilst we're talking. Be a good thing for me to know what Thomas Frank's Brentford did against Manchester City last season, just to see what their results were like. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah. But you know what? It is going to be a tough game.
Of course it'll be.
You know what I mean? It's going to be hard for Spurs to go to Man City without Kulusevski, without Maddison, without Son, to try and get a result. I mean, we don't know how Thomas Frank's going to set up. They drew 14th of January 2025 2-2, Sam.
And then they lost 2-1.
And then they lost 2-1. So, but then remember, probably they were at the best. They had the strongest team out then around that time. We've got a lot of players missing. However, I'm not saying we're weakened. I think we've got a very good defensive midfield. We've got a very good defensive set of players. Our midfield's quite decent, and I think Kudus will cause them problems, as will Richarlison. We've got to take our chances tomorrow. Any chance that we're given, we'll take our chances. Even against Burnley, Sam, and they highlighted it on Match of the Day. We did give Burnley possession. We did give them chances. The only difference is going to be tomorrow is you're going to have the likes of Haaland, Doku, Reijnders, Shirky. Burnley didn't have anyone really potentially that can finish. These lot have got abundance of players.
Yep, but also we all talked about Burnley's defensive record. They were very defensive, and we managed to breach them quite well with particularly that second goal that we scored. You know, Richarlison's second goal was quality from back to front. Yeah. One thing I will say about Manchester City, there will be opportunities to get at them because the way that they play, there will be spaces, particularly for transition. So with Aït-Nouri and who played on the other side? On the left side?
I forgot his name now.
Diaz, Lewis, or sorry.
No, Lewis. Yeah, Diaz was centre back. It was. You carry on. I'll find it.
Yeah. Well, that's the player that Kudus is going to be up against. Again, Kudus, if if he's brave and we can play in that way, because Kudus does defend well as well. He does seem to be able to come back. But I want to see him play a little bit higher, maybe do like what Salah does, kind of cheat it and go a little bit further. So when we do go into the transition, he's the main threat that we've got, because you're not catching him if he's ahead of you. That's one thing I will say.
Chelsea already beating West Ham 3-1, Sam.
Oh, they're going to be decent this season. Anyway.
They're going to be decent, yeah. But do you know what? It doesn't matter who's going to be playing right back for City. We've just got to get at them, and we've got to cause them problems. Simple as we've got to cause them problems. Rico Lewis played right back, so
yeah. So I'm up. If was it right back or left? Oh, Aït-Nouri's left back, isn't he?
Right. El-Nouri's left back.
Right. So Kudus is likely to be in that half space between, you know, Aït-Nouri and whoever's playing at left centre back, which would probably be Diaz, because I think Stones plays right centre back.
Jones and Diaz will be their centre backs.
Yeah. So I'm happy against that, because I don't think that's the tightest defense in the world. If you think about it, John Stones, I know he's a good player, but he's not John Terry. If we're going to go back to them old days.
100%. Sam, thank you. Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Obviously, leave your predictions.
That's what we need to do.
Yeah. Please leave your predictions, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do. 12:30 p.m. tomorrow, Manchester City Spurs. Will Spurs get 3 points, or will it just be a first defeat in his second game in charge for Thomas Frank? And most importantly, how will he fare? What will he do? Tune in tomorrow, 12:30, to watch the game, and then join us back for the reaction to Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester City versus Tottenham Hotspur, and we will do your reaction. Guys, thank you very much. Sam, thank you very much. And as always, come on, you Spurs.